feel quite ridiculous.
I'll bet.
Chris Bearing. If I close my eyes, I can see a young man. A young man at 21.
Yes, 21. That's all Captain Bearing was when his plane went down.
Captain Bearing. Miss Hogan, it was a strange world. They made captains out of kids, and the kids died. Luscious Lois, lordy me. Wait till they try that one on for size at the Bridge Club.
I'd like to ask you some questions about Captain Bearing now.
You remember the exhibit that I dragged you to? It was a
Surrealistic, yes. I remember now. Take it easy, honey.
That's the way I feel. So realistic. Watching somebody take notes on a boy who died 20 years ago. You remember things like that. I remember. He was blonde, and his folks were Danish. But mostly I remember that he was a scared captain. He was only 21, and he didn't want to die in the desert. Can I have a drink, honey?
Oh, it's so early in the day.
So early in this day.
Sure. Miss Hogan, may I fix you one?
No, thank you.
I think I will.
Mrs. Hawley, Captain Bearing named the plane after you. Were you engaged, I mean, even in a kind of wartime way?
Oh, maybe in a wartime sort of way.
Do you remember when you met him?
I remember, Miss Hogan. It was pre-George. It was practically prehistoric.
Well, I have a little previous history of my own.
Sure, me too.
Darling.
Thank you, you old crab. A dance, no less, just like in the movies. In this town, this little old town, the field where the boys were training wasn't far away. And I was dancing with big old Edgar. Funny, I remember her name. Big old Edgar. And then Chris came and cut in. Yankee, I said, hello, Yankee. And that was the kind of brilliant small talk I had then, Mr. Hogan. But his small talk wasn't that sharp either. Anyway, he asked me to dance twice, and then he told me he was going to marry me.
I'd say he talked pretty big.
He didn't have anybody, George, and both his parents died.
That's right. They checked in New York. He'd been living at the YMCA for a year or so before he went into the Army.
I know.
Miss Hogan, I'd appreciate it if we could end this pretty soon.
Oh, well, just one more question then, Mrs. Hawley.
Far away.
No, really, I think that we...
George, I don't understand why you're making such a big thing about this. Please go on.
Well, it just is, for a quote. If he, Captain Bearing, if he were alive today, what sort of person would he be?
Well, what sort of person would Chris be? That nice kid. Well, he'd be like me. Almost 40. That's what he'd be. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy.
Phoebe, this is Miss Hogan of the Washington Bureau of the New York Bulletin.
Hi, Miss Hogan. New York Bulletin? I'll explain it. It's about a boy I once knew, a soldier in World War II. Well, who is he? He's dead. He named a plane after me, a bomber. You, Mom? Me. Well, I don't get it.
Phoebe. What a lovely old-fashioned name.
Well, thank you. She gave it to me, the mystery celebrity over here. Well, I don't think that this is the time for jokes. They've just found the plane that the boy named after me. They found it in the desert, having been missing all these years, and they found things in it that have been preserved, so they say, by the desert air or sand or something.
Darling, I think I'll take Miss Hogan to her car now.
Thank you. Goodbye, Mrs. Hawley. You've been very nice.
Mom, what was the bomber called? Luscious Lois.
really think there'll be a lot more reporters before this is over.
Well, it's a pretty unusual story.
That Luscious Lois part, I suppose everybody will make quite a bit out of that.
Yes, Mr. Hawley, they will. Thank you.
Miss Hogan, I wouldn't usually talk this way to someone I just met, but,
Go on.
well, to tell you the truth, Lois hasn't been exactly 100% herself for the past few years. Frankly, she's started drinking a little too much at parties, things like that. Well, maybe it's having such a grown, pretty daughter. You see, that's part of the complication, too. Phoebe, she's adopted. She was a war baby. We got her when she was 4 years old. We'd only been married for 2 years ourselves, but it was long enough to know that we weren't going to have any children. You see, I think that's bothering Lois, too. Having such a grown-up daughter makes her feel older. What I'm trying to say, Miss Hogan, is that this is just about the worst thing that could possibly have happened to Lois. So if you could possibly play down the Luscious Lois part in your write-up, say.
I'll do what I can, Mr. Hawley.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Lizzie! Baby, you didn't think old Ernie'd be far behind, did you?
I've got news for you, old Ernie. I don't like to think about you at all.
How's the latest circus going on?
It's not a circus. It's people.
It's always a circus, baby. Always a lot of laughs. You know who the clown in this circus is? That lady in there? Luscious Lois. Being touched now by the long, creepy hand of the past.
Well, I'm not Luscious Lois, so you take your long, creepy head off mine.
The search parties have been bringing in their grim findings all day now. A jacket, a cap, the dog tags just found. Last batch found approximately 4 miles to the north of here under some rocks. They belong to the crew chief, Staff Sergeant Albert Bloom, then age 20 of Cleveland, Ohio. That means they have found something, a piece of equipment, something like that from every one of the boys except Captain Bering.
Nick, this is Bob Hull, the L.A. Herald-Examiner. Can you give us a word picture of what you see?
It's a picture I hope I never see again, Bob. They're sorting out the belongings, the pieces of the uniforms, the dog tags, the pitiful remnants. The hot sand all around, the flag flying overhead. You know, it's a funny thing, Bob. 50 stars on the flag. Those kids, they never had any idea. All the things that would happen in 20 years. Even the flag, the thing they died for, it's different.
Nick, this is Flora.
What about that missing letter?
It's out there someplace with Captain Bering. The letter to Luscious Lois has been waiting almost 20 years to be read. I guess it can wait a little longer.
Hey, the pilot! Bering! His boot!
All it just found one boot discarded approximately 19 years ago by Captain Chris Bering. I guess they'll be finding him in the letter pretty soon now. I don't imagine a guy could go very far out there with one boot. Even if he was trying to walk all the way back to Luscious Lois.
All right, Lois, give us a nice smile, please. This side, Lois, this way. That's it. Hold it. A nice little smile. All right, now this side, please. Just to the left, please. That's it.
Luscious Lois is whacked.
Oh, why don't you lay off? This is no picnic.
It is for her, with lots of liquid refreshments.
A little more profile, please. Give us that nice smile, Lois. Smile, please. That's it.
Lois, when did you first hear about the finding of Captain Bering's flight log and the mentions of you?
About an hour ago, I heard it over the radio.
The picture, the one they found. Do you remember the occasion when you gave it to Captain Bering?
I'm afraid not. It was too long ago.
Why, it looks like it could have been made a year or so ago, Lois.
Oh, come now there, mister.
Hey, Lois, will you pose with the Marine over here?
All right. Right here.
Okay, fella, you don't mind, do you? Good.
Here, honey. He's your boyfriend.
No, just you and the Marine. You know, you and the servicemen. Okay? Can you get a little closer, please?
Sure. Jerry's really half my boyfriend, aren't you?
You bet, Mrs. Holly.
He was about your age.
Hey, take it easy.
A boot. One boot. The boy Jerry's age, and he's setting out to walk through that dreadful place, the desert, with just one boot.
Sure, honey, sure. Now, she's very upset. I'm sure you can understand why. I think we'd better call it a night.
No, George, you don't understand. All of this, that poor young man, Chris. None of it has any connection between you and me and Phoebe and the house. All these people, they've been asking questions about Chris. They're writing. They're making notes on paper. I've been seeing it. Sweetheart, honey, that's all he has. He didn't even have two boots at the end. He didn't even have a pair of boots. Ask me anything you like. Ask me something. Help me to keep Chris alive. Mother, please sit down. You don't understand. You asked me a question earlier.
Well, I'd like to ask you about that inscription on the picture. Chris, darling, nobody can ever take away the happiness we've already had. In the future, all the wonderful years to come, it belongs to you and your Lois.
I asked her about that before, and you didn't seem to remember.
That was a trip. In a bus. I went on the bus. The little old bus. I was on the bus for 300 miles in one day to meet him at the beach. It was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I had the picture. You remember, sweetheart, when you asked me to go with you to have your picture taken to give to Jerry last week? Well, I had my picture taken. And I wrote those words on it. And I held it for 300 miles in that little old bus. And there were two other soldier boys there, and they tried to pick me up. I remember. But I'd just written out my heart on that picture. I didn't even look their way. Honey, that day at Myrtle Beach, it was nothing to do with you, dear. We just had chocolate ice cream sodas. And I spilled the ice cream on my dress. Where'd you get that from? And then I gave him the photograph with the writing on it. And that was June 3rd, 1942. The White Cliffs of Dover. You remember that, George? There'll be bluebirds over the White Cliffs of Dover. They were singing that. They were singing that all the time. Chris went away for a minute, and then he came back, and he brought me a little glass bluebird. I guess he got it in a 5 or 10 cent store. And he bought the pair because he kept one for himself, and then he gave me the other one. That bluebird, that little bluebird you have upstairs on your table? I do have one up there amongst my crazy belongings. Yes. I forgot. I clean forgot that I had that amongst my other things until right this minute.
I'm like that, Mrs. Holly. I have things and I don't know how they got there.
Yes. I probably mentioned it to you somewhere along the line.
Probably.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Just a moment. Miss Hogan, it's for you.
Oh, thank you. Hello?
So, Lizzie, I didn't think I'd get through to you.
Honey, would you put the radio on for me, please?
What are you talking about, Mark? What just came over the wire?
They found where Captain Bering died. They found his jacket, the other boot, the rest. And the letter. The letter to Lois. Most of it is what we might have imagined. His mind was wandering. He was telling her he loved her. One paragraph.